The wilderness is probably one of the most iconic and recognizable areas in all of RuneScape, and today it's receiving a massive update. Callisto the Bear, Venenatus the Spider, and Vedian the Skeletal Champion have been in old school RuneScape for nearly 9 years now. Yes, they did come out all the way back in March of 2014, and they have always been riddled with bugs. They were originally intended to be massive group bosses, but once the hype fell off, so did the groups. Players had to find ways to kill them, which generally involved finding weird strategies that require weapons to attack in specific ticks, or safe spotting. And for literal years now, Jagex has been saying they wanted to update these bosses, but today, they finally followed through. In addition to the reworked variants of the bosses that came out today, which dropped the new and powerful upgrades for the wieldy weapons that I'll get to later, there is now a weaker version of each boss, intended for solo players with a less profitable reward table. These zones will all be singles plus, instead of being multi like the other bosses, so there isn't as much risk of being piled here while grinding out that dragon pickaxe, which can now also be hunted at the volcanic mine. Now as for the updated bosses, they just came out, so let's slap on the gear, deal with tons of PKers, and try to get some kills. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, why even bother killing these things? Well, to keep it simple, all of the updated wilderness bosses drop a component that can be added to the crossbow, Thamron Scepter, or Vigora's Chainmace to make it into a much more powerful variation, and I'll be trying to buy all of these and test them out in a separate video, as I always tend to do on day of release stuff. The new bosses also drop pieces of the Void Waker, which is basically like the infamous Karasi sword from back in 2011. Alright, so the update just hit, and as you guys can see, there's like 8,000 little dungeon markers on the map now. But the way that you enter the specific caves are, if you want to go to Callisto, it's where Callisto used to be. If you want to go to Vedian, it's where Vedian used to be, and same with Venenatus. The other dungeon things are the exit routes that you have to navigate to get out of the boss areas. They contain a bunch of NPCs, and I'll show you guys those in just a second. Alright, so my first try for Callisto, they mentioned that you would have to freeze it, so I'm guessing you mage it, but this could be very, very bad. Yeah, he's in here. Alright, let's give it a shot. Range attack or a mage attack? Maybe it's a range attack. So far, I've hit literally nothing. It says you're supposed to mage this bitch, but I'm not hitting anything with mage. So it was at this point that I assumed that maybe you just need to range it. I don't know. Mage was just not hitting. But these are the exit tunnels. It's just a bunch of NPCs, and then you run to the center. Okay, let's try range this time, maybe. Okay, range is already hitting. Range is hitting very well. Okay, so range it. Got it. Noted. What am I supposed to do when he comes up to me, though? Just ow, deal with it? So at this point, I was very lucky. I still hadn't encountered any PKers, and I was just trying to learn Callisto's mechanics, which, as you can see, it hits really, really hard when you let it into melee range. So I struggled through this kill before deciding to go back to the bank and grab myself some freezes. Please die. Alright, so you most definitely range this guy. 100 magic logs. Pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, that's a drop that used to exist too, so it's not that good, but pretty good. Let's try freezing this. I have like no mage bonus on, but let's just see. Do you freeze? With like no mage bonus? It looks like it. Okay, so he's still got really low mage defense. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, that hit me for a 50, so maybe I'm supposed to pray mage. These guys still do so much damage. Like, I get they're supposed to be big group bosses. But like, bruh. What the fuck is that? What the fuck was that? What the hell? What the actual fuck was that? 4850? What? So at this point, a few other people turned up and they were just actually killing the boss, not killing me. So it turns out this isn't actually too difficult of a boss. I had time to figure out the mechanics with other people in here, and this crescent attack that flies at you, you pray range. Don't step in the traps on the ground, and then if he shoots the other attack at you that looks more like an orb, you pray mage. If you do this, you actually take pretty much no damage. Freeze it and stay out of melee range. Now, the boss does have way more health than 255, it's just because the update just came out, that's why my rune light says it has 255 health. But I'm gonna be real, it doesn't feel like it's worth doing. And let me show you why. If you look in the chat, you'll see that on that last kill, I got 2 Snapdragon Seeds. The other person in the room got 3,000 coins, and the other person got Death Runes. Now, it's cool that everyone in the room does get a portion of the drop. However, these are all things that are based on Callisto's original table. He originally dropped more than 2 Snap Seeds, gave like 20,000 coins, and 300 Death Runes. So it really seems like their definition of an updated drop table is just the same drops as before, except now multiple people have a chance at getting them, and the boss is substantially harder to... Well, this kind of solidifies this right here. As you can see, I got rubies, the other person in the room got cannonballs. These are both drops that previously existed on the table, and pretty much the same quantities of those items. So, I don't know if that'll get changed. I guess these are still worth killing for the buffed wieldy weapon pieces, and the pieces for the Karasi-esque item, but, probably not worth killing right now. I tried going to the other 2 wieldy bosses, but there were people just constantly ragging in massive teams at both of them, which isn't too surprising. It's the first day of a wilderness update, so... I mean, if the drops are similar to the way they work at Callisto, I would say just hold off on doing these until some of the hype dies down a little bit, unless you're desperately trying to score yourself one of those new items. But there's a couple other things in this update that are really cool that I want to talk about really quick. So first of all, there are these singles plus layers for these bosses, which I believe are just scattered around here. Like this one's right next to the Corp Cave in level 20. Let's go ahead in here. Okay, there's a person here. I'm sorry, my guy. I'm not trying to crash you. But as you can see, this area is singles plus. It's not multi, and it has a weaker version of the boss, which has the name Calvarian. All of the bosses got a lower variant just like this. So if you don't feel like dealing with as many PKers, it's kind of nice. You don't have to. And these are all below 30 wild. So you're kind of chilling. The only difference is you can't get the new upgrades for the weapons, but that's not that big of a deal if you're just hunting a dragon pickaxe. And in my opinion, the best part about this update, Rev weapon drop rate increases. Now this is just absolutely fantastic. The base drop rate of Rev weapons has been increased by 50%, and on top of that, they are now 5 times more common well on a Slayer task. That means that they're actually kind of realistic to go for. Like you guys know, I've killed a lot of the Revenant Demon. In fact, I have about 14,000 kills on it, and I have not received anything from that table yet. But with this update, I can now actually receive them at a very, very favorable rate. The previous rate on top is 1 in 17,893, and the new rate, if I'm on task and everything, would be 1 in 3,579. That is... beautiful. I just wanted to get this quick little video out there before I go and try to buy all of the new buffed weapons, which I did just secure and get my hands on, so prepare for that video later, and I guess I'll see you guys then.